rejected as mentally diseased or defective. What causes insanity? No one knows all the answers. But it is highly probable that in many cases fear and worry are contributing factors. The anxious and harassed individual who is unable to cope with the harsh world of reality breaks off all contact with his environment and retreats into a private dream world of his own making, and this solves his worry problems. As I write, I have on my desk a book by Dr. Edward Podolsky entitled Stop Worrying and Get Well. Here are some of the chapter titles in that book. What worry does to the heart. High blood pressure is fed by worry. Rheumatism can be caused by worry. Worry less for your stomach's sake. How worry can cause a cold. Worry and the thyroid. The worrying diabetic.
Another illuminating book about worry is Lion Against Himself, by Dr. Carl Meninger, one of the Mayo brothers of psychiatry. Dr. Meninger's book is a startling revelation of what you do to yourself when you permit destructive emotions to dominate your life. If you want to stop working against yourself, get this book. Read it. Give it to your friends. It costs $4 and is one of the best investments you can make in this life. Worry can make even the most stolid person ill. General Grant discovered that during the closing days of the Civil War. The story goes like this: Grant had been besieging Richmond for 9 months. General Lee's troops, ragged and hungry, were beaten. Entire regiments were deserting at a time. Others were holding prayer meetings in their tents, shouting, weeping, seeing visions. The end was close. Lee's men set fire to the cotton and tobacco warehouses in Richmond, burned the arsenal, and fled from the city at night while towering flames roared up into darkness. Grant was in hot pursuit, banging away at the Confederates from both sides and the rear, while Sheridan's cavalry was heading them off in front, tearing up railway lines and capturing supply trains.
Grant, half blind with a violent sick headache, fell behind his army and stopped at a farmhouse. I spent the night, he records in his memoirs, in bathing my feet in hot water and mustard, and putting mustard plasters on my wrists and the back part of my neck, hoping to be cured by morning. The next morning, he was cured instantaneously. And the tiling that cured him was not a mustard plaster, but a horseman galloping down the road with a letter from Lee, saying he wanted to surrender. When the officer, bearing the message, reached me, Grant wrote, I was still suffering with the sick headache, but the instant I saw the contents of the note, I was cured. Obviously, it was Grant's worries, tensions, and emotions that made him ill. He was cured instantly the moment his emotions took on the hue of confidence, achievement, and victory.
70 years later, Henry Morgenthau, Jr., Secretary of the Treasury in Franklin D. Roosevelt's cabinet, discovered that worry could make him so ill that he was dizzy. He records in his diary that he was terribly worried when the president, in order to raise the price of wheat, bought 4,400,000 bushels in one day. He says in his diary, I felt literally dizzy while the thing was going on. I went home and went to bed for 2 hours after lunch. If I want to see what worry does to people, I don't have to go to a library or a physician. I can look out of the window of my home where I am writing this book, and I can see, within one block, one house where worry caused a nervous breakdown and another house where a man worried himself into diabetes. When the stock market went down, the sugar in his blood and urine went up. When Montaigne, the illustrious French philosopher, was elected mayor of his hometown Bordeaux, he said to his fellow citizens, I am willing to take your affairs into my hands but not into my liver and lungs. This neighbor of mine took the affairs of the stock market into the bloodstream and almost killed himself. Worry can put you into a wheelchair with rheumatism and arthritis. Dr. Russell L. Cecil, of the Cornell University Medical School, is a world-recognized authority on arthritis, and he has listed 4 of the commonest conditions that bring on arthritis.
1. Marital shipwreck. 2. Financial disaster and grief. 3. Loneliness and worry. 4. Long-cherished resentments. Naturally, these 4 emotional situations are far from being the only causes of arthritis. There are many different kinds of arthritis due to various causes. But, to repeat, the commonest conditions that bring on arthritis are the 4 listed by Dr. Russell L. Cecil. For example, a friend of mine was so hard bit during the Depression that the gas company shut off the gas and the bank foreclosed the mortgage on the house. His wife suddenly had a painful attack of arthritis and, in spite of medicine and diets, the arthritis continued until their financial situation improved. Worry can even cause tooth decay. Dr. William I. McGonigal said in an address before the American Dental Association that unpleasant emotions such as those caused by worry, fear, nagging, may upset the body's calcium balance and cause tooth decay. Dr. McGonigal told of a patient of his who had always had a perfect set of teeth until he began to worry over his wife's sudden illness. During the 3 weeks she was in the hospital, he developed 9 cavities brought on by worry.
Have you ever seen a person with an acutely overactive thyroid? I have, and I can tell you they tremble, they shake, they look like someone half scared to death, and that's about what it amounts to. The thyroid gland, the gland that regulates the body, has been thrown out of kilter. It speeds up the heart, the whole body is roaring away at full blast like a furnace with all its drafts wide open. And if this isn't checked, by operation or treatment, the victim may die, may burn himself out. A short time ago, I went to Philadelphia with a friend of mine who has this disease. We went to see a famous specialist, a doctor who has been treating this type of ailment for 38 years. And what sort of advice do you suppose he had hanging on the wall of his waiting room, painted on a large wooden sign so all his patients could see it? Here it is. I copied it down on the back of an envelope while I was waiting.
Relaxation and recreation. The most relaxing recreating forces are a healthy religion, sleep, music, and laughter. Have faith in God, learn to sleep well, love good music, see the funny side of life, and health and happiness will be yours. The first question he asked this friend of mine was, what emotional disturbance brought on this condition? He warned my friend that, if he didn't stop worrying, he could get other complications, heart trouble, stomach ulcers, or diabetes. All of these diseases, said that eminent doctor, are cousins, first cousins. Sure, they're first cousins, they're all worry diseases. When I interviewed Merle Oberon, she told me that she refused to worry because she knew that worry would destroy her chief asset on the motion picture screen, her good looks. When I first tried to break into the movies, she told me, I was worried and scared. I had just come from India, and I didn't know anyone in London, where I was trying to get a job. I saw a